Introduce the Employee of the Month for June of this month. And without further ado, it is Greg Tuttle. So while Greg's walking up, I'm going to read a little something here from the nominee. I would like to nominate Greg Tuttle for Employee of the Month. Greg is currently assigned as a bailiff in the 4th District Court. Greg consistently provides coverage for his assigned commissioner and actively investigates potential threats within the courtroom. Greg's current assignment has him dealing with citizens at the final stage of their divorces, child custody cases, and emotions often run high. Greg does a great job managing these situations. When not in court, Greg goes out of his way to assist fellow deputies with breaks, both in the courtroom and at the front desk. Recently, Greg's commissioner lost her husband to health issues. Greg stayed in contact with her throughout the process and assisted in any way possible to help her through the process. Greg was able to set up extra patrols of her residence while she was out of town to relieve some of her worry. In speaking with the commissioner afterward, she stated her appreciation for Greg and all he had done to help her over the past few weeks. Congratulations, Greg. Thank you. We'll come down here and get a picture with you.
I'd like to say a word or two.
Would you like to say a word or two?
I'd like to say it anyway.
Certificate, and I'll give you that after. There's a little something in there for you.
Okay.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold that. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
Tough assignment.
Yeah, it is.
There were some others.
Normally you don't get off the hook like that easy not being able to speak, but he is carrying a gun today, so we'll let him. We will let him off the hook. Okay, now is the work session. We're going to discuss and review proposed amendments to the Utah County Code, large public assemblies.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ben Vinoy, Utah County Attorney's Office. While they're pulling up a PowerPoint presentation, just like to thank the Commissioners for letting us, giving us the chance to speak and present on this important issue. We were asked by Commissioner Gordon, myself, and the Sheriff's Office to present this in a work session to the Commission. So here we are, and we're happy to be here. A quick overview. This is a 5-slide PowerPoint, and only 3 of them are substantive, so it should be pretty short and sweet. We'll talk about some of the issues, first off, that are affecting the public in relation to gatherings of large amount of people, especially as it affects the Sheriff's Office. We'll talk about some of the goals that we want to accomplish with amending this ordinance, and then a quick side-by-side comparison of some of the key points that we hope to amend with our proposal. So the first main issue is that there is currently a large public assembly ordinance on our books. The problem is, as it is currently written, the county has kind of written itself out of regulating this small gatherings, large gatherings that are smaller than 1,000 people. The current ordinance requires a permit if a gathering is over 12 hours long, and that's the sticking point where, according to Public Works, and we've met with Public Works, they, in recent memory, have never issued one of these permits before because it's never used. So there's a problem there that we can hope to fix by addressing that issue. The other issue, and we'll invite the Sheriff's Office up here just to give some brief examples, is these large gatherings cause a significant health and safety concerns for the public, for neighbors, and for the public at large, and for law enforcement. Some specific examples are with some pop-up rodeos and some of these large dance parties that gather hundreds of people. So if I could have the Sheriff's Office come up and just kind of give a brief summary of some of the main issues that they've been experiencing with some of these larger assemblies, including rodeos and dance parties.
So I think to address this first off is I want to stress that on the Sheriff's Office, for our point of view, it's not to regulate out large events like this. It is strictly to look at the safety of those involved. And we've had several incidents in our counties that one in particular where 2 people were actually shot at that event. And we had a really tough time getting into there because of, they're not going through the proper processes, so we're not able to get medical in there. They're the in or out, really, for that matter, and even getting our deputies up in there. We've had others that have had shots fired, drive-by shootings. We get multiple calls on these every year of people that are upset. We've had individuals leaving these, causing problems on all surrounding roads, including deaths from DUI driving. So we are looking for ways that we can encourage people, not to put them out of the business of doing these, but encourage people to do them properly and safely. And that's our point of view, and to alleviate some of the headache from all of the surrounding homeowners, as well as cities that all of these people are now entering, where we have a high amount of drunk driving occurring from these events.
I guess you have the chiefs of police pretty much in support of all of this, the proposal.
I haven't ran this proposal by the chiefs. It really doesn't affect them.
Okay.
Most of the areas where these are happening, some of the chiefs, I can guarantee you they would be. Some of the areas they're happening, these are instantly draining into their cities, and people are coming through their cities. Even on the ones that have happened outside of their city and the county boundaries, we've had to have their assistance in these because they're just much too large for us to handle. We didn't bring the video, but the video illustrates very clearly on one of these that it's a safety hazard for our deputies or any other law enforcement officer just to go into these without a large number, and it's been very problematic for us. And frankly, I believe because of our loose standards, our loose ordinances on this, they're coming here for a reason. They used to not come here. Other surrounding areas now have tightened up their ordinances, and now they're coming where it's easy.
You meet with the chiefs, I think, once a month, and they have this come up very often?
It really hasn't affected them. I mean, if they try to hold things like these events in their cities, they have ordinances that stop them from doing it. So it's really become more of our problem out in county areas.
So principally unincorporated areas, there's no spillover into cities
Not
yet.
It could. I mean, some of the cities, if they allow it, that's up to them. But most through their ordinances, they don't allow these type of things to happen because unless they check all the boxes and do it safely, and that's all we're asking.
Got it.
The video of the one event, I mean, shots are fired, 2 people are injured,
Yeah.
and everyone's fleeing.
Yep.
And you can't. There is no way for.
No,
I saw the video and it was just.
well, on the
shocking.
one event, we actually gave awards out to our deputies this last awards ceremony for this because we could not get medical in there to these individuals in a timely manner because of the poor traffic plan for it. There was no traffic plan for it. And had it not been for the actions of our deputies rendering immediate first aid, we would have lost at least one of them.
Yeah, there's been, this sort of thing has been an issue in other larger cities throughout the country in the last several years. So, yeah, timely. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And to piggyback off of that comment, Commissioner Sakovich, the intent of this ordinance would be for unincorporated areas of the county.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. That there's sometimes there's a spillover from
Sure.
unincorporated into a neighboring city. So I'm just that's
Yeah.
what I was asking.
No,
that
thank
question.
you for that clarification. Thank you, Sheriff, for clarifying some of those goals and the reasons for the change in this ordinance. So currently, the Utah state rules have a temporary mass gathering rule that affects or regulates rather gatherings over 1,000 people. We also have Utah County Code 7.05, which is our facility use policy for regulating large events on county property. What we don't have is a regulation under 1,000 people not on county property. So that's kind of the gap we're hoping to fill here.
Not on county property. You mean the complex or all unincorporated?
County-owned property,
Okay.
yeah. So here's the quick bullet point version of the current version and our proposed amendment. As you see on the left column with the current version, it currently applies to events with 250 or more people. But that second issue is the one I mentioned earlier, is that it only applies to events that are anticipated to last over 12 hours, which is hard to come by. We're not familiar with any events that last that long. A violation of the ordinance is one Class B misdemeanor. That is a significant issue for law enforcement in hopefully deterring future events, unauthorized and troublesome events. There's currently a $100 application fee, $2,000 refundable bond. If you get your permit denied, you can review that in district court. We hope to change that to benefit some of the citizens. And there's currently facility and health and safety requirements that are required for these permits. What we hope to change is to, again, fill that gap to make it for gatherings from 250 people to 999 people. Sheriff?
I was
Go ahead. Yeah.
If it's over 999, it's separate.
If it's over 1,000 people, or 1,000 people or more, that's where the temporary mass gathering permit through the health department, which requires sheriff sign off. For example, with the Color Fest recently, that's a big event every year that they have. They go through the health department because it's anticipated to have over 1,000 people, but they have to get sheriff's office sign off and approval now to make sure that there's road closures, security guards, etc. We would reduce that significantly to kind of mimic the mass gathering permit for 2+ hours. So if it's an event that's anticipated to last over 2 hours, this would apply. The violations currently, as they currently are written, aren't teeth enough. The teeth aren't sharp enough, if you will, for to be a deterrence for the public. So we propose that the violation be increased from to include a $1,000 fine and a Class B misdemeanor for every 30 minutes over those 2 hours and for every person over 250 people. So one count of a Class B misdemeanor for each of those. We're hoping that this will be taken seriously enough where people will just write it off as a cost of doing business and pay a $1,000 fine.
Out of curiosity,
Yes.
should it be every 30 minutes past 2 hours? Should it be in excess of 30 minutes past 2 hours? Because sometimes there's some lingers and it's hard to get them all out when you got a large gathering.
That's something we can definitely consider as it's currently proposed. It's after the 2 hours, 30 minutes, but we'd be happy to consider,
Yeah.
some of that language tweaking from the commission. I was going to mention one of these last events where two folks were shot. We anticipate they brought in over $200,000 in revenue that day, so a $1,000 fine really wasn't enough. We anticipate to deter these folks. Piggybacking off of that, these are usually large dollar amount events, so we propose increasing the application fee to $500, keeping the $2,000 refundable bond. If the already built into the ordinance is if there's cleanup or if there's traffic problems or problems that the event coordinators don't take care of, that would come out of their bond. We propose that the commission review denials, so that way the public that has better access to for example, whether it be fee waivers or if there's denials for whatever reason, the public has a quicker way to address those issues. And we would maintain those health and facility and safety requirements, which we have worked with, or at least discussed this with the health department and community development on some of those things. So that's the current breakdown of the proposed amendment. The red line version of the proposal is attached to this agenda item. Any questions from the commissioners?
It's self-evident that application.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. Good.
Go ahead.
So you're ready for me? I've got a couple of questions. So one, would it be the 2 hours? Is that the run time of the event, or is that setup and takedown of the event as well?
That's a good clarifying question. We would anticipate it being runtime of the event, so that's something we'd be happy to clarify. Unless the commissioners had thought otherwise.
No, I think it would be the runtime of the event. I think that's fair. My other question, I think back to about a decade ago. I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2013. I held a rally for Senator Lee. And when I had originally planned the rally, I had figured that it would be less than 250 people. I thought maybe 100, maybe 200 people would show up. And And then a series of events happened, and my small event for 1 to 200 people turned into a rally for 2,500 people that I had not expected. And so, now with that said, the runtime was less than 2 hours. It was a 1 hour runtime for my event. But if we're thinking of things like rallies or protests, sometimes you don't know how many people are going to show up. Like, I legitimately thought that we'd have somewhere between 1 and 200 people that showed up to that event. I rented a park in South Jordan. I know it's not on county property, but I'm just looking at this. If someone was going to, they plan to have like a little rally of their neighborhood and 1,000 people show up. Is there a way that we can account for that? Now, we actually had accounted for parking, and we had accounted for bathrooms, and we had all of that accounted for. But I could just see something like a protest blowing up big, and the organizer not expecting it.
Absolutely. And built into the ordinance currently, there is a list of exemptions that can cover event facilities that are that can accommodate large amounts of people, religious events, etc. So there are built in some exemptions that we could, if the commission felt it appropriate or needed, we could tweak some of those to include certain types of events. We definitely would be able to consider that as well. That would be up to the commissioners, obviously.
Okay. I just want to make sure there's some sort of an exception for like someone who was planning a small event that, in fact, my event blew up because people decided to protest my event. So then I ended up getting a ton of supporters to counter the protesters, which was not the original plan, but it happened within like 48 hours. So I wouldn't want somebody in that similar scenario to end up with $1,000 fine and a Class B misdemeanor because a bunch of people protested or something.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Just paragraph C for a fee, should that be, as you got D, you got a refundable deposit, should you have it as a non-refundable fee?
That'd be a great clarification. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, when we met, I appreciated that the whole theme was really trying to fix the safety of this. And so with Commissioner Gardner's situation, if they were trying to get more people to, let us know what's happening.
Right.
And I think we can advise, with the professionals like the sheriff's department and, you may have, like in her example, right? We're really trying to stop the pop-up rodeos and the, they call them farewell parties, and then they end up being thousands of,
Right.
Young individuals, and noise ordinances and safety issues. And so,
And our office is considered, free speech and other issues as well. For example, in our facility use policy, we amended that recently to take into consideration some of those concerns. So that's definitely something that our office is concerned about as well.
Okay, and I very much support. I agree. I mean, some of these events, obviously, the pop-up rodeo isn't so pop-up if they've planned to have animals and entertainers, and obviously that's an organized event.
Right, popped up to the law enforcement in the sense that they're not aware of it, or nobody's aware of it outside of that group. Yeah.
Right, but I think it would be easy to prove that they had plans to have a lot of people there.
Which we hope to encourage them to use those plans to work with go through the proper channels to make sure the public is safe and is accommodated.
Absolutely.
any other questions?
Not for me.
Great. Thank you, commissioners. We will take this red line version and tweak it a little bit and work with the commissioners to hopefully produce a final product and get it back before the commission shortly.
Okay, thanks for all your work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now is the moment we'll build our consent agenda. Do you commissioners have anything to hold from items 1 through 10?
I have none. I've gone through everything in detail.
I have nothing to hold on any of the items, actually. I got all my questions answered.
On the entire agenda, you said?
Yep.
Okay, that's where I'm at as well. Any for you, Commissioner
I'm
Savage? Okay.
I'm happy with all the content.
Okay, so we'll hold everything, up until items, we will hold item 26 for closed session as well as item 29, and we will strike 27 and 28. That make it easy for you, Alice? Okay, all right. Did I speaking? We're striking 28, holding 29. Oh, is that okay? We were on the same page. Okay, terrific. Okay,
Okay.
all good there.
Yep.
Okay, now is the moment we go into public comment. We do have someone that wanted to address this at first, and then this. After he's done, we would invite anyone from the public that would like to address the commission. We just ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Garrett Nielsen. I actually worked for the county for 14 some odd years in the fire agency underneath the sheriff's office. Now I'm the Utah County Fire Warden. So my goals, and just introducing myself so you guys could see my face, and I look forward to continuing the relationship with the sheriff's office, the fire agency, and you guys in building the relationships that need to be built and going from there. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Garrett.
We're glad you're back.
Don't get any of that hair singed up. You've been working on that a long time. It looks good. Okay, anyone else from the public?
Like some other people
Yes,
around
please
here.
come up. Tell us your name and
My name's Terry Bishop, and I live here in Provo. And I'm here because of that flying right behind you. I am one of the signers on the initiative. There are 75 people who have signed the initiative against SB 31 to restore the Utah state flag. And I'm here because that flag technically doesn't even become official until March of 2024. And there it stands behind you today. There were over 50,000 people who signed the referendum, which obviously wasn't enough. But in 30 days, with tons of snowstorms and other obstacles, we weren't able to reach our goal. But with the initiative, we have until February to reach that goal. And every district now has a committee assigned to collect signatures. There are thousands of that people who are upset about the changing of the state flag. So my question to you is, why is it flying currently in your meetings? Why is it there when you know there are thousands of constituents, hundreds of thousands of constituents probably, who are not happy about the change of the state flag?
during public comment, we don't have back and forth. We just listen to
Okay,
public comment.
but I'm
and we
just
could
telling you
respond. So thank
that
you.
there are a lot of people upset and that are fighting to restore our Utah state flag. And if you have seen out there today what is happening to that new flag and the decimation that's being done to it, it's disgraceful. And I'm just sad that you at this commission meeting are flying the new state flag.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi there, my name's Kristen Ritchie, and I'm from Highland. And I've attended several meetings here, and I'm interested in what you're doing with our county government. But I'm also here to see for myself if you were flying either the traditional Utah flag or if you had chosen to do this one ahead of schedule, which is for March of 2024. I don't support the new flag, and I know thousands of people that also don't. And it feels a little bit like an in-the-face kind of jab to display that there when it actually legally is not to be displayed until March of 2024. So I heard that it was happening. I came here to see for myself. There it is. I see other buildings. Right outside the building, the traditional flag is being flown. So obviously there's some sort of direction or someone has some sense there, but I just want to be on record as being aware that you're flying it here for some reason. It's premature, and to basically speak my objection to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll now go into closed session.
Goodbye.